Hey guys, how's it going? This project's been a long time coming. I kind of need to jump on it because I've been procrastinating for too long. And that is to make a gas tank tumbler of sorts. And, you know, I get all this old stuff in. It's been sitting 20, 30 years with old gas in them. And all the gas tanks go punky. That's the one out of the 65 Econoline. That's, of course, a motorcycle gas tank. That's a VW gas tank, early VW. That's a gas tank out of a... probably a generator and or pressure washer of sorts. Anyhow, I get all kinds of different gas tanks and I always, every time, struggle to figure out a way to get them cleaned out and put hardware in them, shake them around and all, and sometimes tie them to a car wheel out in the parking lot and let it kind of tumble. So I figured maybe we'll take today and we'll dedicate it to making something that can hold on to a gas tank, have, you know, possibly like a variable speed to it, maybe a tilt to it, to throw a bunch of hardware in it, let it tumble while we're doing other stuff, and have the gas tanks get cleaned out while we wait. So let's have at it. Let's go build something that can go do that. Let's go do a little shopping, see what stuff we can kind of find. I have a general idea what I'm looking for, but nothing's etched in stone. So I grabbed a piece of plywood from my house. Go throw that over there. Maybe we can kind of make that like the mounting surface for it. Let's go take a look in the scrap trailer. We need a chassis for it to kind of sit on. We have that, I think it was pressure washer. This one is a generator that blew up. Let's go grab maybe this. We'll start with this for the base of it, and possibly we'll keep in mind that we have that other one over there. So I'd say this is probably like the largest of the gas tanks that we have. And I figure we can kind of make it where we can strap it onto this piece of plywood. But I want to make this piece of plywood spin. I think I'd like to be able to change the angle of it while it's spinning, while you shut it off. Make it so we can kind of change the angle of it so that when it's doing its dishwasher thing, or I should say clothes dryer thing, when it's doing the tumbling, you can kind of change the angle of where the hardware is kind of landing. You know, if you want it more on the bottom of the tank, you can lay it more flat. If you want it on the edges, we can kind of stand it up more. And if we want it on the top, maybe we can even possibly hyperextend it. So, having said that, we'll keep that in mind. We got to go pivot off of, I don't know, maybe we'll work on, we could let it like lay down here and we could stand it up. Maybe we'll split the difference, whatever, you know, keep it about, I don't know, whatever the corner is off the ground. Plus we can cut the corners. Let's go look for something that can power it. I'm thinking more, I needed something variable speed that can hold up. I think I got a couple of grinders. And I got two buffers. I only need the one. Possibly maybe we could use this. Does it have variable speed on it? Yeah, no, maybe. Yeah, there's variable speed on that one right there. I'm gonna make sure that this one is still good. Which there's no more. Yeah, is this my variable speed? Yeah, right there. Okay, I'm gonna go make sure I'm not trashing my only good one, and I'll take the crappier one. I think this one's a Harbor Freight one. Yeah, let's go with this one. Let's go see if this one works, and maybe we'll make this the drive for it, and we can lock the button down and adjust the speed right there. Yeah, let's see what we got. I seem to remember this one, like as it warmed up, the speed kind of changed on it. Go. Maybe. I'll go with that. I think possibly at the house. Well, to get this stuff off the face of it. Am I the only one to talk to myself as I'm doing this stuff? Convince myself to do something different. Okay, is that? How many we got on there? Yeah. I think that one's getting scissors. Yeah, so I was thinking if we can get either like a sprocket or a pulley on it, and we can, you know, set up a, what is that? Set up a put a small pulley on here and a larger pulley down below that we spin the board with. Let's go see what I can get for a hub for this, and then we have to figure out how to attach this. I'm probably thinking like a metal framing that pivots off of that, the face that we talked about. All right, let's go see if we can find something. I'm not worried about sprockets yet. That we can get out. Let's go see if we can find, well, there's metal on the inside. Let's go see if we can find a hub that fits on here. I might have something a little bit more stout. Yeah, I think I have a stash of like grinder attachments, like, you know, little pieces that you take off the grinders, and I throw in a bowl or a cup. I know it's somewhere. There's a bunch of grinders over in the corner too. It might be with them. I also think I have like the original metal shroud that goes around it. Maybe that'll even help us. Stash of, I think if we had like a burned up wire brush or something, we could take the hub out of it. I'll see what I can find. I'll bring it back. Do we have one? That's going to be aluminum. Yeah, that and a steel, that'll be good. Because we go weld to it. I think we're getting closer. That's what we're looking for. Many years of yard sale junk. Wait, oh yeah. What's that? Does it fit? And what's that? Let's go see if they have anything that will work for us. Let's go see if they spin on there. That one does. We could probably stack it in. Nope. Not that. I don't know what that's off of. So maybe we could space this up. We'll get spacers underneath it so that it's flush. You know what I mean? Then we can kind of mount to this a pulley. Actually, it might not even matter, right? Let's I got like boxes of pulleys and chains and stuff upstairs and sprockets. Let's go take a quick look up there. We'll grab ourselves something just small to work on. We'll just stuff to hold its place while we're trying to think this through. Yeah, I don't know if chain or belt would be better for us. Get some light on it. You know, what would be the... I would think belt might have maybe a little bit more forgiveness factor to it. Let's go grab a couple of some small pulleys. These are, I think these are aluminum. We can find something steel on the smaller side. Those two the same. Yeah, let's go grab one of those. What else we got? Yeah, now we're getting into sprockets. We could always revert back to them. This is what I like. Like when I strip a machine that's crapped out, I just grab them all and throw them in a hopper, because you never know. Days like today, we're just gonna make something, not spend a bunch of money. All right, let's go just drag them down there for now. We'll kind of use this for our beginnings. Actually, there's a little one right down in there. I'm gonna go grab. Like, my thought is we could always weld these together and spin that on there, because again, they're both steel. How close is that to? Or we might be able to forego that altogether. Yeah. Has it got a set screw in it? It's got it, right? Yeah. Maybe we just kind of crank down on it. Anyway, that's one side of it. We need something that can be the hub that everything kind of spins on. Let's go look, maybe, I'm thinking like a front axle spindle along those lines. Go check the stash. I don't know if I have, I think I have half of one. I don't think I have a whole setup. Let's go look. Wrong lights. There we go. Yeah, I've never seen that one on the floor. I think it's just like an inner or an outer, you know. I'm thinking that, but a complete setup. Let me shop for a little. There's a bearing. Got the bearing off of it. Yeah, it's blown out though. Let's see if that matches. It's not like it's going to go down the road anymore, right? Yeah, so those were a pair. I would think if, I was going to say maybe there's two of them, but maybe not. Alright, I'm going to go pick around a little bit, see what I can find. I might have something. It's a CV axle. I don't think that's going to help us though. I can't think of anything that. Nah, because it's got to spin on a bearing. It's got to have a bearing in the middle of it that we can mount to. Alright, so I looked at this one further. The other race was sitting on here. I'm like, we could probably press that back together. And again, it's not going down the road as a car. But I went to one of my local shops and I said, hey, you know what? You wouldn't happen to have a hub. And he had this one, which is together. And what's nice, it's got a flange going around it. So it gives us something to work off of on both sides. Wait, it gets better. And he had a rotor too. So possibly we could use the rotor. Maybe we could flip it over and make that like a mounting surface for the plywood. Not sure yet, but at least you got something to work with there. Possibly, maybe we can just, you know, drill the plywood right to this, but we'll see. Getting ahead of ourselves. So actually, we need some way to get a pulley of something in here, right? I don't know what we got upstairs. Maybe we can cut the guts out of it. Can we make this the pulley? I wonder if we could chuck, probably could. I don't have to lathe this big enough. I wonder if we could open this up enough in the center where we could just lay a belt in the middle of it. Let's go look for a, I'll look. You guys, I'm gonna drag you guys back upstairs. I'll look for a larger pulley, see what we got first. If not, maybe that will be the way we go. Maybe we try getting this on a lathe and grinding some of the center of this out so a belt can lay right on this surface. I lied, I brought you along. Yeah, because we're not going to have anything, like we got that, that's aluminum, it's going to be a little harder to work with. I thought I had a large pulley off of something, like a, yeah, somewhere I do have a larger, not maybe what I'm thinking of. It's got a different setup. We'll bring that down too. It's got the matching hub for it. What's that back there? No. Memory once in a while. The holds true, but it's aluminum. I was thinking it was steel. So we'll keep this on the back burner in mind. It's worst case we can try to figure out how to attach that to this. Again, you know, maybe drill and tap the rotor if we have to. Let's go see. It's going to be close whether that will fit on the lathe. Like I said, maybe we can just open that V up just a little more and have a belt sit in that. Yeah, we're not even close. It's a kind of drop down. That has to be the center of it. We're not even close to it. That's not going to work. But actually, this one might. I didn't think. Let's go get this out of the way. That might be up high enough in the air we can work with it. I don't know if we'll get the tooling back, but maybe we can, as long as we can get a rotor set up in it, maybe we can hit it with a grinder or something while it's spinning. Let's see if I'm liking that. It's close. It's gonna be close up here though. Actually, I think we could swing that head out of the way. That's like a drill press part of it. It's supposed to be, am I going the right way? No. It's supposed to be like a lathe and a mill. But it's poor quality. Yeah, see if we can get, let me go see if I can move this, swing it out of the way. Use this thing forever. Oh yeah, there we go. Let's stand back and spin that thing up and go plug it in. The other problem is that I don't think this thing has much of a speed adjustment. That might work. go. So this tooling's not going to be able to get in there. It's not, I don't think it's going to come out back far enough we can actually cut on it. But let's go get a grinder with like a flapper disc, and maybe we can just kind of whittle the center of it to make what we, you know, we're trying to go for, like a profile, something like that. Let's see what we got for a starting point. That actually is not, you know, the belt's definitely proud a lot. Let's yeah, we'll just start whittling into it and see what we get. If we screw this one up, I do think there was another rotor over there. Yeah, I think we might need something a little thinner than that. Let's work it a little bit with this first so that we get the width of it. All right, we want something like that. Let's go work on, we'll take the edges off lightly with this, and maybe we'll go to a cutting disc or a grinding disc and try to drop the center of it. What could possibly go wrong? We think upward, right? Yeah, I think we should just switch over to a grinding disc. Get a little bit more aggressive with it. Yeah, this might be able to give us the cut that we want, you know, that it's a sharper edge. We can get in and make the V. So if we hit it on an angle like that and then come over and we'll hit it back like that. See if that's getting us anywhere. Kinda. I'm gonna work on that. I gotta get the V in the center much better. I might even have to switch over to a cutting disc instead of a grinder just to get that little thin edge. Let's see if we can tune it up with a cutting disc. I think that's got it pretty good for now. It's almost all the way down. And this belt it's pretty deep as far as the V that's in it. We can, again, grind it more if we find that we are having an issue with it. But let's start with that before we like commit to, you know, maybe I'm going with a fatter belt or something. All right, so let's go throw a grinder up on there. Start visualizing ourselves. If you were a grinder, what would you look like? That almost, we could almost make that fit all the way down on that chuck. Let's I'll flip it. Let me go put that up in the air. We gotta get these on the same plane somehow. This is gonna be the plywood side, right? We want this pulley to line up with it. Let me get rid of the handle on that grinder. I think we're going to end up working with these 4 bolts to mount it. So I'm thinking we can go something like that. I was a little concerned that I don't want the gear ratio to be too tall. No, I don't want this to spin too fast. I don't want the hardware that's in a tank just get flung to one side and just kind of go around with it. I want it to be able to go up like a washing machine and tumble into it. Again, I'm not quite sure how slow that grinder can go, but I guess we're going to wing it and find out. I was told that there is a an old pedal bicycle in the dumpster. Maybe we'll keep that as a backup, and I think that pedal setup has like a very large flywheel with a belt going down to a little tiny pulley, which may be larger than this, but I think we keep moving forward with this setup so far. So this is the plywood to be attached to this, right? And then we got to get something. There's 2 bolts sticking out of the side of the grinder. I think we're going to use those to mount it. Not so much those little ones that were on top. So we got to get something that hub can mount to and that grinder can mount to, and then make it adjustable. Probably angle iron. Let's go flip the whole assembly over and look at what we can come up with. I think I want to commit on this pulley a little bit more. So let's go take this flange which threads onto there, and I'm going to bring it back to the lathe. I'm going to open up this shoulder of this so that this can kind of key into it. And what we'll do is we'll probably just put a couple of tack welds on it. But I figure if I put a shoulder on this, it'll help center it. Even if it wobbles a little bit, it's not going to hurt anything. But let's go see what we can do with that. Let's go clean the rust off too. Quite a bit to go. Let's got it. All right, let's go clean them up, clamp them down, and get a couple of tacks on that. I ended up putting it back in the lathe, and I kissed the face of it so that those two are going to be perpendicular. Probably going to have a little bit of wobble to it anyway. But let's see if we get a couple of tacks on that. And we'll leave it like that as we're assembling it. If we need to take it apart, we can just hit it with a grinder. Try and keep it in the vise so that it keeps pressure on it. Get one more. Right there. I don't know how well it's going to stick. There's probably cast. All right, let's let that cool off. We can spin that on the grinder. Not just spin to keep itself tight. We got power still? Yeah, it's got a decent wobble to it. Oh well. Good enough to hold the belt. Let's continue on. Let's go figure out what the center of it is. We'll drill the holes for the hub at least. We can always cut the wood down, but let's go give ourselves a X marks the spot. I say we just eyeball it. Get the center circle in the X, right? And it looks pretty good, right about there. We'll just do that. Like I said, I have a feeling we're probably knocking about, hopefully about 48 inches off each side. But for now, we'll leave it full size. It's hard to put wood back together after you cut it. Figure we'll start with a step bit. It's not going to the full size, then we have to hit it with one larger bit. Got the big boy out. Let's go slow it down a little. See how accurate I was? Oh, she just hit almost. We hit it with a hammer, it'll fit. I'm gonna open up just a little bit more. Just a hair bigger. You'll go. You may want to put that rotor on first. We gotta pry bar, get that off. Rather snug, I don't want it to loosen up over time. Let's go throw the rotor on it. And we are gonna have it like what? You wanna go like that, correct? Was that our battle plan? Yeah. And then we put the belt on there. And we got to come up with a flange going to this. Yep, that's it. Well, the problem is they didn't plan on the hole in the center. So it's trying to bubble up. I got the center of the hub is sitting lower. What was I thinking? Yeah, we got to drill that out. Why don't you say something? Might be a little too much for this drill, but let's go find out. Let's get ourselves right on that point. Enough, I guess. Let's go see. That was like right on the money for size too, you know. Didn't have a bigger hole saw, so hopefully we should be able to go flush on down. I'm gonna go hit it with a file on the edge, just a hair. I'm gonna run around with a file a little bit. There you go. Now it's sitting better. All right, so we need the grinder to match up. My guess is this will probably be the top, maybe, where the grinder is. I can flip it over either way. So we'd have a pulley from there to here, and then we got to make a metal apparatus, and I think we should probably try to make it pivot on that frame right about on this line, so we can kind of flip it up and down, and maybe we can. There's the other part too. Is that trigger going to be? I don't have to grab that trigger while the thing's, you know, it's going to be spinning. How far out we come. Let's get some metal. We'll start laying something out. I don't know. Let me go look in the stash, see what we can kind of come up with. I'm thinking maybe angle, or maybe we should try to make a metal plate. That kind of. Where's the rest of the car? We'll take the hub from it. Let's go see what I can cobble up for some kind of hunks of metal to attach this, and then that frame. My guess is we can come off of, I'm thinking this bar here, and we have it like, when we're not using it, we can pivot it flat down and then stand it up with like an angle adjustment. Yeah, sure. Well, I was trying to find something that had like a disc shape to it. The only thing I can find is another rotor. And my thought is, what if we just weld it to these tangs sticking off of here, and then we could build off of this, because again, this is going to be staying put. We could put the two bars for the pivot here, and then the grinder we can work off of this edge coming this way. And you see what I'm doing. We got the two bolts here. Kind of line up roughly to the center of that, and it kind of also keeps our hand away from the thing when it's spinning. So let's go with that for now. The cast kind of welds kind of shitty, but let me go grind these. Like when this was taken apart, again, it was just meant for scrap, so it got driven off by an air hammer. Let me go flatten these little tabs out here so that the rotor can sit flush down, and I'll clean it up and I get some of the paint off of there. Definitely getting heavy. I'd say we commit. Be good for the bearing. Spinning wheels. Around and round. We get a little bit longer belt. My guessing is something like we can go like this. Now we got to attach to these two bolts for the grinder. I kind of wonder what we could do for like an adjustable tensioner. We could probably just maybe slot these too, right? Crank down on, put some washers on it. Let's get some angle. They're going to be kind of low on the angle. Actually, I can weld on the bottom side. We come off the angle. I don't know. Let's go get a piece of angle. And I'm going to go look for a longer belt. Maybe try to get it a little further away from it. That's a little better. At least your hand is kind of out of harm's way. You know, still when it's over here, it will be. But let's go for that setup for now. We can always put a tensioner in it if we have to. So I got it blocked up roughly where it goes. This is a little tall. Unfortunately, we're almost pretty much dead even with the center of it. So I'm trying to, if we take a piece of metal, but then we'd have to notch it to come up here. I was going to do that with this, with that hole that's there, but I'm thinking what I'm going to do is maybe we'll cut off like a 2-inch slab on each side. We'll stand it up and we'll cut it, you know, right at that height right there. Make 2 pieces that come up, we'll bolt it to it, and then we'll make the strips come off and weld onto the rotor over there is my guess. So let's go cut those 2 pieces off. We'll work with that first and we'll see how we can get onto this. I'm still trying to think of like what would be a good way to make an adjustment out of it. Try to figure out how I want to kind of space it apart. I remember I had this. This is for like pulleys. You can crank down on it and it's got extensions on it. It's for when you're trying to tighten put tension on a pulley, like on a, say, an alternator. That's what it's for. So it works for this too. So I got a couple tabs up there. Maybe we'll try to figure out how we're going to go bridge across now to this. I kind of wonder if we should maybe even go all the way across to here, because we're going to need to do that pivot, whether we do it on this side or this side. I'm not sure yet, but I think if we come across, it may give us something better to kind of, we should probably figure that out at the same time, huh? I don't know if we should take this. I'm thinking, like I said, we're going to try and pivot it right here so that it kind of flips up and pivots back down. Let me go find the middle, like what the dimension of the wood is to the middle of that hub, and see where we kind of line up here. So without cutting the corners, which we are going to do, we're at 28. Let's go see where that lines up. That's nowhere near 28, I don't think. Watch it be right on the money. 26. And we're probably going to want it up a little bit anyway, so that it kind of stores. My guess is when we're not using it, I'm not really sure which way is actually going to be better. But I do want it so it's adjustable. You know, we're not going to have it like that, but we're going to want to tumble probably on an angle, maybe something like that. Let's problem is clipping the corners. I'm going to go set that big gas tank on there one more time and see where it kind of comes in. Yeah, 32 by 24 is the dimension of that tank right there, which is probably about the largest I'm going to work on. I look at the back of the MG right now. A because I want to be able to make it so that we have anchor points still to attach to on the other side. But I think we can clip the corners fairly decent, probably about that much off of each one of it. So let's just continuing on. We'll worry about pivoting it later. Let's work on attaching that to that. Like sometimes it's better just to kind of keep moving forward in your head with what you're trying to build, and then figure it out as you go along. But at the same token, if you can get, what's the saying, two birds with one stone? I'd like to try to do that. Let me go get some angle that can reach out to here, maybe even onto the side of it, maybe. Let's go with that on there. Well, it's going to have the same. We're still going to end up running into the grinder. What was I thinking? I had a plan. I don't know if it's coming together because we're on where that bolt is. That's not what I wanted to be. Did something wrong. Let's step back from it for a little bit and kind of give ourselves a direction of where we're going. So it has to pivot on this, which honestly we could actually just kind of drill and put two exhaust clamps on this. You can make it, we could tighten it up to where it's got drag on it. But let's go pivot, see what it looks like if we come towards the grinder. It's probably going to be a little, I'm going to pop it out of its socket. I'm going to leave it. So that'll be laying down position. It's okay, I guess. It'll just sit on the, this is where it's going to be used mostly. We're going to have to throw a bunch of weight in that thing too, to keep it from flipping over, right? Good. You're not going to lose it. We could put a bunch of weight on there so it's more stable. Sandbag it. So I got to come up with something that attaches this to the rotor and grabs that bar. I'm not quite sure if we even need to incorporate them together. Maybe I'll just kind of grab this metal to here somewhere, not worry about trying to go right across. I think we can get a good enough bite on this because it's really only holding the grinder. It's not holding the weight of everything. This is holding the weight of everything. So maybe that's our best bet with those, like I said, with those, if we can get like a smaller exhaust clamp, or if we put another piece of pipe over it. Let's get the grinder connected to that first. So I decided just to shim up about a 1/4 inch and gave us the clearance for where the bolts are right there. So, and plus a little bit more. Again, we may end up slotting this to make it so that the belt has tension. I'm also kind of thinking too that we probably get a little bit of tension out of it just by turning the grinder just a hair on the pivot. But we'll see, because right now I got to add a decent tension, and we'll see if that stays. Again, we could always put a tensioner pulley coming in from the side, but for now, I'm thinking we're going to go with this. Should be fairly stout. That weld, you know, it's got a beefy weld on it, but this is not very strong. Anything going to cast is kind of, like I said, iffy. It's not a great weld. Got a lot of it on there though. All right, let's go buzz that one up and take the vice grips off. Need a new tip. See if we can get through it with this one though. That sucks. Should probably take the grinder out of it so we don't overheat it. Don't bolt it and take it. I can get in there, do the rest of them. Well, that's a little warm. I'll let it cool. I don't want to spray it because it stands even more of a chance of the welds cracking off of it. So let's just let it cool down on its own. We'll put the grinder back on it. I actually think we could probably maybe flip it over and maybe put like a 2x4 here. We could flip it over, probably hit the trigger and see what we get. Hopefully we get what we want. Get nothing. It just disintegrates, falls apart. I go home crying. Yeah, I had a failure. Kind of like, so I was working trying to get this into place, which kind of actually good, but just did not stick. Yeah, trying to weld the cast, it is pretty hard. There's ways of doing it, but especially with this stuff, it's a rotor that's been overheated, so we're gonna have to drill through it and bolt it. Not that it's that big of a deal, but you know, welding is definitely easier. Plus, drilling that stuff is going to be a little bit on the finicky side too, because of, again, the fact that it's been, the reason why it was replaced is because it was overheated and, you know, hardened, so the braking capacity wasn't good. So I'm going to line that back on. I'm going to drill some holes through it and I'll bolt it together. The only other area that we have welded together on the cast is in the center of the hub here. That may stay though, because this is steel and the outer is cast, and I'm kind of like going up over it. If it doesn't, there's other things we can do to kind of go fix the center of it too. But let's go get this fixed and continue what we're doing. Let's go for a drill press. I'm willing to bet that it's not going to want to go, but let's just give it a shot. It is drilling, that's good. Still looks like it's welded too. All right, where were we? Oh yeah, putting the grinder back on. Let's go see if we can. Got the bolt started on that. I would think we should be able to start the belt. Just kind of tilt it up till it's tight. There's our adjustment, kinda, sorta. I mean, you could do that a little bit, but at some point, you're going to your alignment's going to be so far off. Curious if this down here, the roughness of it, chews up the belt at all. I don't think so. I don't think there's gonna be all that much of a load on it, but we'll see. It's fun to experiment with stuff. Now, we get that tightened up, and like I said, we'll flip it over, and I'll get some whatever the height of this is, probably like a 2x4. We'll spread that, lay that across on the other side, and we'll hit the trigger. The other part I'm worried about coming apart, The hub that we have here is only tacked, so that may come apart. I don't want to weld that solid in case we have to change the ratio. Death machine. What could possibly go wrong? Alright. The trigger's not locked. Should be on, I think I left the grinder on its slowest speed. Come on. Hands out of Burton's way. So that's at its slowest speed. I'm afraid it's going to be a little too fast. I wish we had it a little geared down more than that, but it's not bad. Plus, I wonder, like, if we're gonna have a gas tank in it, right? We're gonna have fluid in it. There's gonna be more drag when it's up. Maybe it'll slow it down a little bit. We'll continue on the way it is. Worst case scenario, we're gonna have to go back in and get a smaller pulley on the grinder side of things. But let's just kind of keep moving forward. I'm not sure what I want to end up with the plywood being. You know, it's a finished shape. Plus, we even add on to it too. But I want to clip some of the corners off, try to make it a little bit more of like the rounded shape of it. So when it's spinning, those ends aren't protruding so much. Just go knock off, I don't know, that much. All right, let's flip it back over. We'll start looking into what we need to do to attach it to that cart. Like, because this surface is going to change over time. Probably each gas tank we put on it, we're going to modify it so of some fashion. So we might be screwing 2x4s to it or whatnot, but for now, we'll work with these. If we can get it. I think that's some weight to it. Okay, so let's go lay that buggy back on top there. We'll figure out where we're going to try to make it pivot on that. Plus, we don't have to worry about the corners, you know, hitting when it's spinning. Yeah, I think it's something about right about there, like a little lower than center, so that when it's down all the way, the wood's not going to hit. And then we could pivot up to, I don't know, right about there. So let's come up with something to attach this to this that we can rotate on it. At first I was just going to think maybe just like 2 clamps, but maybe what we'll do is we'll maybe weld another bar on here going across that we can get a little bit better bite further out, and we could put 2 clamps because we also need something to lock it in different positions as it's going through. I don't know if we're going to do like a, you know, just like a twist lock on the side of it, or can we do something that's more, you know, pins that you put in with holes on it. Not sure yet, but let's get the pivot part fixed. So I was going to add like a beefier pipe and kind of working off of that, and the more I started thinking about it, I think we're just going to be better off going with what we were thinking, which is just getting a couple exhaust clamps. We'll drill right through it. This just has to be able to pivot. It doesn't need to be able to be the drag to holding in its location. So I'm not too concerned about if there's a little bit of slop that's in these. Smallest clamps I can get was 1.5 inch. So let's go out, mark them out, punch some holes in it with a drill, bolt that together. Maybe we can flip the whole assembly over and kind of see how it goes. We also got to stack something, make a platform for there, like to stack rotors or something on it to make this, you know, much more heavy. So you can kind of keep it to the outer edge. If we rack them a little too, they'll probably actually, will that hurt us? I don't know. Let's go right there. And right there. So if we were to rack it, let's go put it over here. Compared to going straight across. Which one do you want to do? Like that? Or like that? Make up your mind. Well, it's a good thing we weren't going for the exact holes, because when they hit the fins in the middle, like if you weren't dead on the center of it, it caused the bit to walk to one side. But as long as the clamps go in, close enough. And I ended up splitting the difference between the two that we're talking about. All right, go throw the frame back up there with a couple of those clamps. Watch them not be long enough. Yeah, we got it. Let's go bolt them up. I got decent dragging on them. Maybe too much, maybe not enough. I don't know. Let's go see how it does. Should be okay. I don't know if we should work on that pivot arm now. You know, how we're going to lock it in place while it's upside down, or should we flip the whole thing over? I mean, it's getting kind of heavy, you know. All right, so we need to be able to, let's go, I'm going to go block that up in like a straight up position, and let's try to figure out something to make it adjustable. So I actually went to lunge. Yeah, so I was thinking about it. Sometimes it helps to take a break. What if the handle's already there and it's got like our articulating setup on it? Can we get this out-handed? Can we use that as at least part of the thing that it can pivot on? Maybe we make a bar and maybe go from that hole to there. Maybe can we even get it straight on like that? And we can lean it closer. We can tilt it now, right? And we put you in a stand. Yeah, so could we make it so that I don't think we would have to go any further than that, right? How is this one if we fold it up? How does it line up? It's out of the way. All right, let's go work on that for a little bit. I'm also kind of thinking like notches. Maybe not. Maybe we just kind of make a bar that is pinned to it. I'm trying to think of it, visualizing it the other way around. I'm trying to visualize. How's this? All right, so it's going to be leaning like that and standing it more straight up. This is going to be between that window is where we're going to want to go. Let me think about that. We can come up for hardware. I end up clamping it down to the bench. There's a clamp holding it, or else the whole thing will flip over. Let's go plug it in, turn it on. See if we have any kind of design flaws. Sometimes it's good to get a visual. Make sure we're not going awry. Lock it. Still worried about how fast that is too. Keep this turned down all the way. Yeah. I'm gonna let it run like that for a little bit. Let's see what the motor does. I'm just worried about when we put the hardware in the water in it, or whatever liquid, that it's just gonna all stick to the outside of it. It's not slow enough where it kind of goes and tumbles down, you know, like a wash machine does. But then again, the more weight we put on it, and it'll be weight that's wanting to stay down low, like a cement mixer. Essentially, it's kind of what we're making, isn't it? That part looks pretty good. And in the worst case, we got to get a smaller pulley than that on there. We'll take care of that. I kind of want to make it, you know, so you're kind of like in the middle of the grinder range. That's pretty smooth. Right. Let's continue on with making some kind of brace that we could change the angle of that. And then we got to make a floor for this to get some weight on it, because it's without that bracket on there, it's just going to do a nosedive, and it's going to get worse with a tank on it. All right, hear me out. Let me know what you think. So I'm thinking we can cut like a 4-inch piece of bar. This slides in here. It's just a lug wrench that we can use this for the adjustable part. We'll drill a hole in this, weld the nut on the outside of it, and we'll make a T-handle that locks, probably from the bottom, locks and unlocks. You can change the length of it. We'll cut this off right here, weld the nut on that, and we'll drill a hole here. So that'll be a pivot up here. This can get welded to here, probably about just a couple inches long, with a T-handle underneath it, and it should allow it to slide up and down, and probably make it so we can just take it apart. Like if we have it, if we just extend it a little bit further, it comes out of the socket maybe, and then we just can collapse the whole thing when we're not using it. Or we just make like a quick, like maybe a quick release pin here where it can just kind of come off, and we can lay the rod down and then lay the top down. You agree? Did you come up with something else different? I'm gonna go knock that out. I'm not gonna go film all that. I'll bring you back when I have that stuff kind of in process. And a little after what we got. So we got a T-handle that we can lock anywhere on this rod where it goes. We got a pin we could pull here, and we have pretty good adjustment on it, and we just lock it anywhere in that position of the tilt, and that should hold it pretty good. Plus, yeah, again, if we need to modify anything in the future, we still can. I'm gonna go take a sander and get rid of a bunch of the rough edges that are on here, and maybe nib the corners a little bit, and maybe we'll move on. We still have to get weight on the ass end of this and figure out how we're going to start mounting gas tanks to the face. Let me chain this up, and we'll figure it out from there. That's better. It's a little softer. You know, you bump your hand on it, even if it's spinning or something, at least it's not going to gouge into you, even if you're just trying to move it around. Let's try to work on, again, we'll start with one gas tank, maybe the largest one I got, which is that one right there. And we'll lay it on it, and we'll see what we want to do. I also want to make like a padding on this, because we do have the hardware in the middle, but or you can ground them down. I'm not sure yet. We'll let that be. Let's go lay it flat, lay a gas tank on it, and start educating ourselves. I think this tank is already boned out. I think it's got a hole in it. But we'll use it for, like I said, our mock-up, what we're gonna do. Guess you could try to just go for center, so it's not lopey, right? I don't know, maybe, I was thinking the black bungee straps, and we can kind of put some holes around it. Hold on, I got a cough from all the dust. Well, I'm kind of thinking we could drill around the perimeter and just put some like eye hooks in it. And I don't know what would be better. Would it be like these rubber these guys, or just like the actual ratchet straps? I think these would kind of maintain tension as long as it doesn't want to slip. This gas tank has a stud, I don't know, port on the other side sticking out. So I have it blocked up with 2x4 pieces around it. Like I said, each one we can kind of manipulate. That's why I wanted to use wood. It's kind of easy. We can, you know, drill in it, screw pieces down. If we have to, we can block pieces of wood around it. But I don't know if these are all the same length. Let's look at maybe taking these, make some eye hooks, and we can kind of just like strap down on it, going around, and we'll set it up on its side and we'll spin it and we'll just see how we kind of like things. Well, I was gonna go scrounge around to try to make something, you know, weld a nut into a bolt and then drill through it. I just went and got some regular eye bolts. My thought is maybe we can take these and just kind of, maybe where the corners are, we'll drill through and we'll bolt these in location. We always can move them around in the future too, but I think if we take those, we got 4, yeah, so you can put one on each corner going around and use it for now. And as I said, this thing's probably going to evolve over time as far as the base plate to match up different things in a motorcycle gas tank and, you know, ATV tanks and car tanks, that each one's going to be its own little special thing. But after a while, I think we will be able to tile it all the way in. All right, I'm yapping. Let's go drill it out. Let's go bolt these around the corner and see if we can strap down that tank. Before we try it in the upward position, let's go give her a spin right now. It's probably going to be unbalanced. We'll see how bad it shakes. Plus we're sitting, yeah. Well, my belt's loose. Guess I gotta go like that. Alright, let's flip it up on end and see what we get. I'll bring it back. It's got a bunch of crud in it too. We'll probably hear that clunking around. That's what my fear is. It might be a little too fast. You can hear like when it slows down. Kind of what we want. Let's go throw some nuts and bolts in it and just see what it does. See if, because that stuff's light, you know, so let's just see if, like, heavier nuts and bolts, if it makes that motion at the slower speed that we need it to do. Yeah, that's a nice random assortment. Shove that down in it. Some of it might fall out. I guess something I can plug. Let's go see what happens. Yeah. That's what you want. That's too fast. We need to kind of slow it down so we can get that tumble. So that's why I didn't want to kind of finalize everything. We're on the right path though. So we need to get a pulley smaller than that, and then unfortunately we have to kind of redo this, maybe drill some holes where it's a, or you probably even change a belt. What we got? Oh geez. To take the belt off, what do we got to do? We probably could take the gas tank off and take the 6 bolts out of the center, right? Yeah. Alright, so I went poking around a little bit more. This is the original one that we started with, and the diameter of it. And of course we found that aluminum one, but that's kind of hard to attach to that hub. And I found this steel one that we could punch out the center of it, which is a decent amount smaller. But then I found this one. I think that's what we're looking for. Because I'd like to get it, like I said, in the realm of where we can kind of dial it in with the grinder for just the right tumble speed. So let's go clean this up on a wire wheel. I'm not quite sure about getting that attached to that hub. One way or another is going on there. Just doesn't know it yet. Have to open it up, we can. That's why I like to tack things together just in case, but so now we can just kind of cut the tacks off. I was gonna try welding it on the grinder, trying to make it so it was center. Kind of back up. So what I did was I took the lathe, I opened up the center of this to be the same diameter as that. And when I put the flange on there, and I put this on, it kind of centered it where it was. But I didn't want to burn up the grinder by running the welder on. So I found a bolt that fits in there. And then that kind of centers it over it. And I say we take this and we crush it in the vise. And do the same as you did last time. We'll put a couple tacks on it, and that should make it kind of square. And we'll throw it on there, see what happens. We'll let that cool off. We'll make sure that that's in the center. Hopefully. And see if we get any wobbles. Hopefully no wobbles. Again, self-tighten. That looks better than the first one. You think our chances are that we can get that belt on and tilt it back enough so that it'll at least give us a ratio of what we got? I pretty much know we got to redo those holes. Can we get it? Let's go back you up and give it a test spin. Let's try it. It might throw out the belt because of the angle, but let's see. Perfect. All right. I'm going to take a little time and modify the mount that is up there. Like I said, I'm probably just going to drill 2 more holes a little bit further up to get the grinder a little higher to get the belt set up straight. Good. Too bad I didn't have that to begin with, right? But, yeah. Experiment. Experimenting. Doesn't always go right the first time. Looks pretty good as I retap the holes a little further back. And again, that's just tack, so that still has to come back off of there. I could kind of lower it. I only ground into it, I don't know about that much. I was trying to keep the belt in a decent alignment. If I ran it all the way down, if I bored the whole thing out, I'd be afraid it'd be a little too on the low side. Let's pop you in a stand, let's give her a spin, and see how she does. That's more like it. Wow. To do what it's supposed to be doing, that's just dry. Liquid in it. We cap that, put liquid in it, it's going to really kind of churn it up, like I said. Do we want to screw with that right now? Or should we start making our counterweight? Let's go look into that. Let's go try to make something to, all this mass hanging off the front of it. If I was to undo that clamp, the whole thing's just going to flip over like the Flintstones car with a rack of ribs on it. Let me see if I got a bunch of rotors I took off. Probably, I don't know, I got at least 4 or 5 of them. We could probably get them somewhere in this area. I don't know if maybe we just kind of stack them all and put a bolt right through it. I think it's going to be a little wobbly this way though. Yeah, fresh off my Tundra. I don't know how much weight we got here. Might not be enough. Maybe we'll leave that lower level open for now. And what we can do is, maybe we'll weld a bolt on each side right here. And we'll just kind of bolt a rotor hanging on this. And we'll try it with the 2 heavy ones and see what kind of balance we get on it. Trying to think of his worst case scenario. We could probably even like attach it to the floor or attach it to the lift when it's running, something like that. Park a car on it. Well, sure is starting to look like the proper contraption, that's for sure. Let's see, I got 2 of them on there. Let's go see how front heavy it is. Yeah. It's not terrible, but you can go for a little more. Let's maybe do the same. We'll put 2 more bolts on the outside of it. We'll hang 2 more on there. It's kind of like weightlifting, you know? Stack on another 20. Yeah, I'll do the 2 outer ones and that should have it pretty good. Plus the more weight, it probably keep the thing calm. That's good. I got the 4 weights on it and that there's no clamp on it. It seems pretty good. It seems pretty... Yeah, I think that's got it. Let's go run it. I put a cap over it so the hardware doesn't fall out. Bet you a bit of rust comes out of there. I gotta go get some of the plumbing. They got plugs for like plumbing. You're putting something off. Probably should have shined a light down there beforehand. I don't know if you can kind of see anything. Let me grab a light. You know, as you can see, is a dusty cloud. But that's where the liquid comes in handy too, is that it kind of keeps all the dust down, and you're able to, you know, you flip it to the bottom and you pour it out and rinse it and all. I don't know if I'm going to get to putting water in this one today. Also, I think it may have a hole in it here because it's all wet on this side. I did buy another tank for this. This is the tank out of the orange truck, which has been waiting a long time to go back in. I don't know if I want to put a handle on the back of it, moving around. It really doesn't seem too bad. I mean, it's not like it's going to be going, I'm not going cruising with it or nothing, you know. Probably park it out of the way in the shop when I'm not using it. Yeah, well, that came out pretty good. I'm happy with it. You know, that pretty much using a bunch of junk and coming up with something. It has more of a fulfillment than trying to buy something. So I was glad I was able to piece all stuff together and, you know, just try to use a little bit of ingenuity and a welder to create something. Plus it uses up some of the scrap I had laying around. I'm glad I went with the smaller pulley on the grinder too, because it makes the polisher, grinder, whatever. It just makes less of a load on the motor, so I don't have to worry about the motor getting hot. I ran it for about 5 minutes. I put my hand on it. It seems like it's okay. I don't see much of an issue. I want to put a pan down below, down in there. We can kind of store like the bungee cords that hold it. We're probably going to get like some ratchet straps or something on top of the bungee cords. You know, different blocks of wood. Over time, every gas tank that we go and do something with, we'll have to modify it a little bit. Like if we have to take these hooks and, you know, move them in further for a tiny tank or whatever the issue is, we can go ahead and fix that. I got to go to, like I said, a Home Depot, grab a bunch of those plumbing plugs for the outlet so we can cap it off and put some fluid in it and go from there. I like the fact that we can rotate it to different directions. So like when it's tumbling right now, it's that bottom surface is having hardware, you know, scratch across it and beat the rust off of it. We can go, you know, straight up and down. We'll get all the edges going around on the tank. And if we stand it, actually hyperextends past a little bit. We'll do the face of it. Plus we can also just take the tank and, you know, flip it around. I like it. Like for, it's been in my brain for a little while to try to get it done. And, you know, I just have, you keep procrastinating. Like you go deal with a tank and you try strapping it to a car wheel outside and jacking the car up and letting it run for a few hours. So this made it so that I don't have to do that anymore. And it moves around, so it's pretty decent. I got rid of those rotors that was been tripping over for a little while. Yeah, I got to do the gas tank and that. I have a couple more things that I purchased that's going to have the same issue, so I figured might as well knock it out now. All right, guys, if you want to comment on anything that you think we could also use this for, possibly, other than maybe like the old Batman movies where they tied people to the the pinwheel and had like a a blade coming at them or throwing darts at them. Feel free to lend your opinion or the thoughts. Like I said, we can use it for, or other things just for gas tank sake. Other things that we can kind of go do to it also. And chemicals. I'm going to try with water first. I'll see how that works with water and hardware, and then from there I'll switch over. We could always use like a more of a harsher chemical on things. But for now, I think the tumbling action is what's really going to do us well. All right, guys. I'm done. I'm tapping out. Thank you all for hanging out with me, having a little bit of fun, making some weird crap, and hopefully you do it again soon sometime. Till then, I'll see you later.